Howdy humans and welcome. Thank you so much for spending some of your valuable time with me today. If you watched my previous video, then you know that I'm on a, shall we say, temporary career pause. So I'm stretching every dollar for 30 days. No shame, just strategy. So here's the current financial landscape. I'm not bringing in like a stable income, like paycheck anymore. Right now, my only income is child support, which means that my savings account and I are in a very committed, slightly toxic relationship. The good news, I planned ahead. If I don't add any new income, my current savings should last me about 6 months. But also, 6 months goes by really fast. So I'm out here hustling. I actually have a part-time job interview later on today, which means there's a decent chance that I'll have at least some income coming in to help stretch that savings even further. I don't have any major expenses on the horizon unless the universe decides that it's got a really twisted sense of humor. I do have car insurance due in February, which I pay 6 months at a time, but that's future Micah's problem. And I already have a good chunk of that set aside. And honestly, I just really hope that future Micah appreciates everything that present Micah is doing for her. So the point is, I'm not in disaster mode. I'm in carefully feeding the goblin mode so it doesn't chew on the drywall. And that means I'm going to be very intentional with how I spend every single dollar. Because the goal here is freedom. It's not running out of money in 3 months and kind of panic applying for any job that sounds like I'm even remotely qualified for it, even if I'd hate it. So that's where we are. Let's go look at the numbers and see where we're going. Okay, first things first. October was kind of a catch as catch can month as I was kind of adjusting to not having a job and dealing with some of the kind of mental health fallout from my previous position. But now it's November and it's time to buckle down and get our shit together, okay? So as of right now, all credit cards are at a $0 balance, which is super important to me. And one of my main goals here is to not drive up my credit cards and stay living within the savings that I have. As I said, my savings will last about 6 months if I can keep myself together. So first off, I'm going to show you what one of my paycheck breakdowns look like from before I lost my job. This is going to look a little different from what you guys may have seen in one of my previous cash stuffing videos because my numbers changed. I was making more money and that's reflected here. So this was my income. This obviously is not correct. And then I've got my, right here, these are my fixed expenses. And then right here is my variable. And then everything else are sinking funds. And then you can see down here was like what I had allocated to go towards my savings challenges. Now, this is previous. This is not what we're doing right now, okay? So let's move on. And what I have here are 2 pages that are actually going to be available as a free download. The link to the download will be in the description box down below. This is a very, very basic spreadsheet that is a beginner budget template. This is very simplified, okay? So we've got our fixed expenses, our variable expenses, and then our sinking funds. Right now, we are not contributing to sinking funds because I don't have any large amounts of, decent amounts of income coming in. My income right now is $145 a week in child support. Those of you who receive child support or pay child support know that that is all dependent on whether it is actually paid. I generally do not include this money in my budget in any way because it is not like a guaranteed paycheck. But for right now, I just kind of want to keep in mind that that is coming in and that is money that I can use to offset my expenses. Okay. Now, because the universe does have a great sense of humor, my rent went up on November 1st. And so it is now $1,228 a month. So it went up $103. Apple, it's $1. It's extra storage on our iPads. And I'm probably just going to keep that because it's fine. It's $1. Okay. And then Lakin, this is a personal development goal setting course that I take. It is a membership based. She is making some changes to the program, and I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with it, not just because it is $20 a month, and but also just I don't know that the direction that the membership is going aligns with kind of what I'm doing as a whole. Now, for phone, that is $330 a month. That includes myself, my daughter, my dad, and 2 of my sons. So that's 5 people on the plan for $330. I include that as a full expense in case something happens and one of my children or my dad like doesn't pay their part. I'm still going to pay it, and then they can pay me back, and it's fine. But the piece that I am responsible for myself is $120. And the rest of that is that's for myself and my daughter. The other 3 are adults that pay their own bills. So, but I am responsible for that. For Duke, that is my electric bill, and that generally runs around $140 a month. Sometimes a little higher, sometimes a little less, but I'm going to keep it there and just work to try and keep our electric usage down a little bit. Comcast, it's supposed to be $60 a month. I have been dealing with them. My bill has been completely ridiculous, and I think I have it fixed. It's supposed to be $60. We'll see what happens. Fingers crossed. Insurance, this line item is I generally out of, once a month out of one of my paychecks, I will contribute towards my insurance, which is technically a sinking fund because I am saving up that money to pay the insurance in full every 6 months. Like I said in the intro, I have the bulk of that already saved, so I'm not even going to be worrying about that right now. Sorry if there's any jiggles, I just hit the camera. So that total is $1,779 a month if I do not receive the money to pay their bills from anybody else on our plan. Okay. Now, for groceries, I'm keeping these numbers fairly in line with kind of where they were, but I am going to make some changes, which I'll talk about as we go. Groceries, I try very, very hard to keep it to $400 a month or less for the 3 of us in my household. Now, what that pays for is breakfast and lunch for me and lunch for my daughter because she is home daily. Dinners a week. The other nights, my kids eat with their dad, and I'm not great at feeding myself, okay? I forget, so it is what it is. And a lot of times I will maybe go out. I might just eat like whatever, stuff that I have here and things like that. So I'm trying really hard. I really want to keep this under $400. If necessary, I could go to a food bank if I need to. I don't receive any assistance other than I did apply for free breakfast and lunch at school for my kids, and that did get approved. But other than that, I don't have, Medicaid. I don't have SNAP benefits. I don't have anything like that. So, and that's absolutely fine. So I want to keep my budget under $400 a month, hopefully. The next one is smokes. I know. We're just going to not talk about that. It's $140 a month for right now. That's where it is. Don't come at me in the comments, please. For gas, that's averaging about $50 a month. I don't go a lot of places that are very far. I can't do a lot of cutting in that category because I already have it pulled back so much. But I have to take my kids like to their dad and stuff like that. So $50 a month is about where it's going to be. Going out and eating out. Those are 2 categories that, if necessary, I can cut out completely. I would like to not have to do that because I don't want to give up all joy in our lives right now. So, but for going out, previously I was giving myself $60 every 2 weeks. I'm not doing that. I'm not going as many places and doing as many things right now but I do want to still be able to go and do things with my friends and things like that. But I'm going to take that down to $60 a month. And hopefully I'll stay underneath that. I think I really can. I almost put 40. So we'll see. I think that I can. And then eating out, we did have $65 every 2 weeks. We're not doing that. But I'd like to have enough to get like pizza or whatever for the kids like once a month. And then maybe if I want to go out once or twice in a month, I'd like to have that money available. So let's go with, you know what, let's go with $60 here too. Again, trying to stay underneath that, taking advantage of, you know, any coupons or discounts that I can find for that. Household, that includes laundry detergent, trash bags, you know, all those sorts of things. And I'm actually fairly well stocked at the moment. And I can't think of anything that we need household wise, but I don't want to leave that blank. So I'm going to go ahead and put $20 there. And if I don't spend it, I don't spend it. And that's absolutely fantastic. Pets. Okay, so I have 2 cats. Y'all met Rumble in my last video. And then there's Sploot as well. They obviously need to be taken care of. I just bought a large bag of dry food, so I won't need to buy any of that for quite some time. So I'm not going to include that in this calculation. But we do have cat litter, which is about $8 a week. And then Rumble, the one that you met last week, he's an older boy. He's, you know, like 10 years old and doesn't have a ton of teeth. So he gets a can of wet food every day. And that runs about $30 a month. So that's $62 for them. And there aren't any other expenses that I foresee coming up with that for them. Kids, this category is one. So like if my kids are like, hey, you know, can we go get a milkshake or something? I can say yes. I don't want to leave that blank because my kids did not make the choice. I made the choice and they don't deserve to be punished. We have had a discussion. They understand that things are going to be like scaled back a little bit for a while I'm not working, and they're fine, but I still want to be able to, you know, take them for ice cream or something. So, but this is going to be $20 a month. Then we're just spending. Spending, I was giving myself $100 a month previously. We're not going to do that. That is just my like running around money. That is the category that I take like my emotional support coffee from. So that's not going to zero, but I am going to cut it in half and do $50 a month. Giving is a category that I'm really conflicted about right now. That category I use to give an extra tip to a server on top of whatever I would tip normally. It is money that I use to, you know, go and buy stuff for food banks and things like that. And I'm like I said, I'm conflicted. Part of me says that I should still be giving, even though I don't have income, because that is something that's important to me. And then part of me is like, right now, you need to save your money for yourself because you're the one that needs it in this moment. So I'm not really sure what I want to do here. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments and what you would do if you were in my situation. For right now, I want to go ahead. I'm going to put $10 and just see. So for variable expenses then, that comes to $790, giving us a grand total of $2,569 a month, kind of just to survive. Okay, we can do that. Now, the next piece of the puzzle is the expense tracker. This is also included on the download down below. And what I'm planning to do, I normally don't track my expenses quite this close, but because of where I am and because I really, really want to make sure that I am staying within the confines of the categories and amounts that I have already set, I am going to start going through, and every time I have an expense, I'm going to write it down. So this is November, and on the 1st, I paid my rent, and the category is just going to be bills on this one, and the amount was $1,228. And then I have had, like, I bought groceries and stuff, but I don't have it in front of me at the moment, so I'm going to wait a little bit on that and do that in the next video. But I'm going to go through here, and then each week, I am going to total up what I spent in each category so that I can make sure that I am staying within these confines and I can make any adjustments necessary to make sure that I stay there. So that's what those are. So that's how the money looks heading into this 30-day challenge. It's not glamorous. It's not girl boss, influencer, budget, aesthetic. It's real life. My real life. And I'd rather build stability honestly than pretend that everything is perfect. This month is about proving to my anxious little brain that we're safe now. We are not in survival mode anymore. We don't have to panic every time a dollar leaves the account. We can make decisions from intention and not fear. And yeah, the financial goblin is still going to show up whispering in my ear, "What if you need Starbucks every day to survive?" But now I'm taking that little dude and I'm sticking him in the back seat with some snacks so he can be quiet. If you want to join me, the free budget and expense tracker that I showed you is linked down below. Use it however makes sense to you. Make a copy of the document and modify it however you like. Heck, set it on fire if that feels good. Or just dramatically highlight it in red every time you buy yourself a treat. I'm not here to judge. We're in this together. We are moving forward. We're learning to trust ourselves with money again. And we are allowed to build a life that actually feels good, even when things are a little uncertain. Part 2 is going to be our first check-in. Will I stick to the plan? Will I impulse buy something ridiculous? Will I win a tiny victory that feels like $1 million? Probably yes to all of those things. So stick around. We're in this together, and I'll see you next time. Bye.